Why are troops dying? We're the most powerful military on the fucking planet. How is this taking place?
Overnight, the U.S. launching new strikes on Iran, retaliation for the drone and missile attack that killed 2 American service members and injured several others at a base in Jordan Saturday. One service member is still missing. In these new American strikes, CENTCOM saying the U.S., quote, targeted Islamic Revolutionary Guard forces that launched those attacks in Jordan. Video circulating online appears to show multiple projectiles raining down from the night sky. The moment that base was hit, 4 injured service members were taken to hospitals in Jordan and later released. Several others suffered minor injuries and have returned to duty. So far in this war, 16 American troops have been killed and more than 400 wounded, according to the Department of Defense. These latest combat deaths are the first reported since the fighting restarted. Responding to word of the deadly attack, President Trump reportedly telling the New York Post, quote, "It's a shame, but in this case, they died because they don't want to see Iran have a nuclear weapon, and they don't want to see the Middle East blown up." The attack came after 7 straight days of U.S. strikes on Iranian targets, including surveillance sites and military logistics infrastructure. Both sides now say the ceasefire agreed in mid-June is over. Iran, meanwhile, has been targeting its neighbors, launching missiles and drones at American bases in Jordan, Bahrain, and Kuwait. Those strikes raising questions about the status of American missile defense. It's estimated that the war is severely depleting critical U.S. munitions, including for the Patriot missile batteries crucial to protecting American troops and allies. But just last month, Secretary Hegseth dismissed reports of any shortages.
Ultimately, our stockpiles are great, and they'll only get stronger.
The U.S. has now carried out strikes on Iranian targets for 8 straight days, and several countries have condemned the Iranian strikes and are calling for restraint. But for now, Rachel, it seems there is no end in sight.
Yeah, 140 days into this conflict. Okay, Marcus, thank you. The escalating tensions between the U.S. and Iran, well, it's sending gas prices up again. ABC's Christian Cordero joins us now with the numbers. Good morning.
Hey there, Rachel. Good morning. So gas prices are rising with the tension around the Strait of Hormuz, where a fifth of the global oil supply passes through. U.S. oil is trading at $82.47, up about 4.5%, while the national average for a gallon of regular gas in the U.S. is now $3.98, according to Gas Buddy, a 14-cent increase from last week's average and $1 more expensive compared to when the war began. This is all coinciding with the busy summer travel season and the lack of traffic moving through the Strait of Hormuz. This morning, Iranian state media reports the regime intercepted 4 ships in the strait today, warning those waiting to pass that they must directly coordinate with the IRGC. Data from maritime analytics firm Kepler shows ship traffic dropping significantly, as low as single digits in recent days, compared to about 70 ships that crossed per day during the temporary memorandum of understanding, and roughly 100 per day before the war began. Our team has spoken with shipping executives who have vessels waiting.
I've explained this to you guys already. There's only so much out-yapping you can do, but you can't out-yap how people feel in their wallets. Okay? Obviously, the Trump administration, alongside the rest of the world, has tried to keep up with the imminent energy crisis by unleashing their strategic petroleum reserves. But there is going to be a hard limit to how much you can try to manage the imminent volatility. Okay? It's at a certain point, everything is going to collapse when people realize, like, okay, market factors are actually not looking at the hard limit with this actual commodity that is necessary for survival, right? It's going to happen. It's already beginning to happen, regardless, because there's like obviously supply shortages that are compounding, right? And it's going to lead to, and it has led to, an inflationary crisis anyway.
To cross, they say they want more clarity before they feel safe enough to move ships through. And until the bottlenecking eases, Geo, analysts say gas prices will keep going up.
Yeah, such a back and forth on these gas prices.
Yeah.
Christian, thank you so much.
Well, moments ago, President Trump posting to Truth Social with this message on Iran, saying Republicans should add Iran to the Russian sanctions bill. That's what Lindsey wanted to do, referencing the late Senator Lindsey Graham.
It comes after the deaths of 2 American service members in Jordan.
Mike Tobin is live in Tel Aviv with the latest. Mike.
And Lisa, and guys, let me start you out with some breaking news. Air raid sirens are sounding right now because Iranian missiles are inbound for the Jordanian town of Aqaba. Why Aqaba is particularly concerning? It's at the tip of the Red Sea, right where Israel and Jordan come together. So
Giganik. Slowly but surely, the IRGC missiles have been able to successfully take out a lot of the batteries, a lot of the anti-air defense systems inside of Jordan. Jordan is obviously very important for Israeli security. Jordan is basically the last line of defense. In the last 130 days in the Operation Epstein Fury, Iran successfully took out the radar installations, the eyes and the ears that the Americans had in the entire region that would play a formative role in the Israeli response, in Israeli air defenses. Right? But of course, after they took out the radars, they started taking out the batteries. They started taking out the offensive strike capabilities, but more importantly, from the Israeli perspective, the defensive strike capabilities. And as of this week, the IRGC has hyper-focused on the Jordanian defenses. Jordan operated as a key hub, says Murtaza Hussein, for executing the February 28 attack on Iran, and also seemed to have specific detail on the type of operation it would be, including the killing of Iranian leaders and attempts at regime change. It would be more respectable to just own the conflict than attempting to deny the obvious or acting like an innocent bystander. This goes equally for the other GCC states that have been involved in the war. This is, of course, in response to Ali Yunus's reporting. Jordanian Foreign Minister Ayman Safadi denied publicly days ago that the U.S. has a military base in Jordan, a line that has been repeated by other officials and government media. It's not clear why Jordan keeps denying the existence of a U.S. military base the U.S. built with its own money publicly. And this has, of course, gotten Israel nervous. Argentina received a red card. Oh, hell yeah. Get fucked, Argentina. Fucking finally doing Taekwondo for 70 minutes. People in Israel are getting more anxious than usual now, especially after the strikes on the border with Jordan. Amir Bohbat is reporting that the defense establishment is expecting a missile attack from Iran. This could also just mean that Israel is preparing to attack Iran. Okay? Israel has made it, Israel put a no-fly zone for drone operators, commercial, civilian, across the board recently. That means they're expecting possible drones as well, beyond ballistic munitions. This is a big deal. As I reported yesterday, the reason why they're attacking Jordan is because they're making it easier. They're making Israel more vulnerable, okay? They're making Israel more vulnerable because they expect Israel to possibly join with the United States of America post-MOU as they did prior to the MOU. Because right now, up until now, America has been striking. Israel's been awfully quiet. Israel hasn't actually accompanied the American strikes on Iran. But Iran is basically creating an environment where they can retaliate against Israel if they see it necessary, if they see it to be a necessity. And that's the reason why they took out the air defenses in Jordan. That's the reason why they've been pummeling the Jordanian bases. And that's the reason why Americans died in Jordan. Now, one might ask the question, why the fuck are American troops stationed in Jordan that are playing defense for Israel? But, I think we all know the answer to that question, right?
Anything that threatens Aqaba threatens Israel as well. To this point,
I gotta pee.
The Iranians have not fired on Israel in this round of fighting. But as you mentioned, an 8th round of airstrikes has now concluded in Iran. U.S. strikes in Iran. The military operation now amplified by the 2 U.S. servicemen killed, a 3rd missing, and 4 wounded. These are the first U.S. troops killed since that memorandum of understanding was signed. The casualties were at the Muwafaq Salti Air Base in Jordan, and they're a result of Iran's repeated shots at U.S. bases in neighboring countries. At least one strike got through the defenses. The Institute for Study of War writes Iran has enhanced their ballistic missiles with greater speed and maneuverability, and that the Revolutionary Guard is getting some help from Russia and China. Now, as fighters launched from aircraft carriers, Tomahawk cruise missiles blasted off from warships, U.S. Central Command stated that this 8th round of strikes was intended to punish the Revolutionary Guard forces who launched the attacks that killed the U.S. service members in Jordan. Now, President Trump, speaking to the New York Post, said those servicemen who sacrificed their lives did it because they don't want to see Iran get a nuclear weapon, and it just shows you how bad they, the Iranians, are. To this point, the majority of targets have focused on disabling ports, destroying the ability of port towns to resupply, and preventing the Revolutionary Guard from threatening shipping. Dramatic evidence of that, a tower destroyed in the port town of Khabakar. The U.S. says the Revolutionary Guards used that tower to track ships and attack them in the Strait. Now, since this war with Iran began, 16 U.S. service members have lost their lives. 430 have been wounded. Guys, back to you.
All right.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you,
Thanks, Mike.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube.
Obviously, we're going to continue situation monitoring. However, Jake Tapper had Abdul Al-Sayed on. That's another situation that we will be monitoring today. But so far, there's also some additional developments. Iran's getting a little frisky because of the confidence that they have. There are some Iranian analysts that are now talking about entertaining strikes, or not even strikes, but an offensive operation, an invasion, if you will, on Kuwait. And for the record, since the news came out about the 2 soldiers that were died, a 3rd service member was reported to be dead.
I've got to get
this is the 8th night of successive strikes.
Give you an update
back
on
and
the
forth.
loss of life of U.S. service members. We reported earlier that 2 U.S. service members had been killed and a 3rd was missing. The remains of that 3rd missing U.S. service member have been recovered. So you're talking about 3 people killed by that strike. And another unfortunate incident, service members were disposing of the explosives in an Iranian attack drone with a controlled explosion. Something went wrong, and another U.S. service member was killed.
God damn.
All of this according to Central Command.
200 gifted
last night,
subs.
the U.S.
Thank you.
responded to the U.S. loss of life with an intensified round of strikes into Iran. This marks the first time the U.S. has had any loss of life since that memorandum of understanding was signed, the memorandum of understanding which is now largely disregarded. The casualties were at the Muwafaq Salti Air Base in Jordan, and they are a result of Iran's repeated shots at U.S. bases in neighboring countries. At least one strike got through the defenses. Now, the Institute...
I mean, these guys are just straight up dying for Israel. Just make no mistake. Like, there's no clearer example of dying for Israel than sitting in a fucking base in Jordan that is playing a formative role in striking Iran and also playing a formative role in defending Israel. That is straight up what this is. Trump is sending these people and lighting the region on fire. Trump is sending these people to their deaths because he wants to lean into whatever Israel's demands are, destabilizing a sovereign nation that has the capability of fighting back. Germany and Britain are evacuating their diplomats from Kuwait, by the way, since there's some reporting. And obviously the strikes are ongoing. It hasn't stopped. Reports of missile and drone launches towards Bahrain, Kuwait, Erbil, and Iraq. A U.S. soldier was killed last night during the same type of attack in Erbil. There's extensive damage on these bases, and Germany and Britain are evacuating their diplomats from Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia. The U.S. has advised its citizens to leave the Middle East region. A lot of indications that massive escalations are being prepared. And Israel is also preparing for additional strikes on Israeli soil as well. Here is Trita Parsi on the issue, says, to say that the U.S. underestimated Iran's missile capabilities is only half true. Yes, there was an underestimation, but there was also a deliberate effort to downplay Iran's capabilities and silence and deplatform those who early on pointed to their efficiency after the first round of attacks between Israel and Iran. And the reason was clear: to get Trump to agree to a larger war, a media narrative of Iranian weakness, Iran's a paper tiger, it's on the brink of collapse, etc., had to be manufactured. In that context, any acknowledgement of Iran's actual capabilities, which were demonstrated in April and October 2024, were non-permissible. And that's why we're here.